Careful. That one's deadly.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of Digital Fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and we just got done with early access for Pioneer Masters, taking some of the coolest Pioneer decks that weren't available to play on Arena before this set, and now are available, and trying to take them for a spin and getting really a feel for how they fit into the MTG Arena ecosystem. This deck in particular is Lotus combo. That's right, we're using Lotus Field. We have a couple of different ways to really break Lotus Field and to ramp up to an insane amount of mana and combo out for ridiculous wins out of nowhere. The deck is nuts. If you typically watch Pioneer content, you probably know basically what this deck is, but it's really cool that we can finally play the full-on version of this without cutting any corners on Arena, the same version that's available to play in Pioneer on tabletop. So really excited to dive into this and see what this deck can do. Also, we have one more deck coming from early access that's going to be out before the end of the weekend, but that one in particular, I'm going to leave it a surprise as to what it is, but we were only able to get one game in before they finally shut off the servers for early access, so it's going to be a quick one. We only got one game, but there is a surprise deck coming this weekend at some point, so look forward to that. Please like the video if you haven't already, help me get it out to more people, and subscribe if you're new so you never miss an upload. Tons of crazy stuff on the way. Also catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/QuarantineCapricorn. Because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Now let's talk about this deck. Alright, so Lotus Field combo is now its full Pioneer self on Arena because of Pioneer Masters coming onto Arena and bringing some missing cards. This deck is now as powerful as all of the Pioneer versions, and it's pretty gnarly. The basic core of this deck is Lotus Field. It's a land, it has hexproof, it enters tapped, and it taps for 3 mana of any one color, which is an insane amount of ramp, but the downside is that when it enters, you sacrifice 2 lands. The way we get around this is we play Strict Proctor. 2 mana for a 1/3 flyer. Whenever a permanent entering causes a triggered ability to trigger, you counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So, when we play our Lotus Field after our Strict Proctor is on the battlefield, we can choose not to pay 2. Its enters the battlefield abilities get countered, which means the trigger that says we need to sacrifice 2 lands doesn't happen. So we can just play Lotus Field as basically a Black Lotus that's reusable, with the only downside being that it enters tapped, but it also has hexproof and it's hard for our opponent to remove. And that can be absolutely backbreaking and insane just by itself, ramp up to a ton of mana really quick, and play some insanely bomby stuff that we'll get to in just a little bit. But the other card we have to abuse Lotus Field is Thespian Stage, which is another land. You can tap it for a colorless mana, or you can pay 2 and tap it to make it become a copy of any target land, except it has this ability. So once you get it onto the battlefield, the Lotus Field, now you can start making copies of the Lotus Field with Thespian Stage, and since Thespian Stage is already on the battlefield when you copy Lotus Field, it doesn't trigger the enters ability that makes you sack either. And sometimes that can be a way of getting some value out of Lotus Field, even in a game where we don't have Strict Proctor early, where maybe we play Lotus Field fairly and have to sacrifice our first 2 lands, but then we get to make a copy of it with Thespian Stage and not sacrifice, and still ramp up more than we should be ramping up, and it feels really, really rewarding. We have some pretty crazy cards that we can play with this. We've got 1 copy of Omniscience to just play everything for free from our hand. We can get it out super early with all the Lotus Fields. Emergent Ultimatum, which can search for up to 3 different monocolored cards in our deck, and our opponent has to choose only one of them to go back, and the other 2 we get to play for free, which is insane. So we're usually picking the Omniscience as one of those cards. We also have Peer into the Abyss as a sort of win con or gassing ourselves up with a ton of cards if we need to, because target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and lose half their life, rounded up. So if we're in a position where we have so much mana and we're controlling the board and we're not in danger of dying, we don't really care if we lose half our life. And subsequently, it's also potentially possible to just target the opponent with this and just win, or get very close to winning, where maybe we swing in with a Strict Proctor or something and we close out the game. So some versatility there. We also have one copy of Lier, Disciple of the Drowned. Spells can't be countered. It's a 3/4 and gives every instant and sorcery in our graveyard flashbacks. So with an insane amount of mana and an insane amount of ways in this deck to untap our lands, which is the other part of the combo I'm going to get to in a minute, being able to replay all of the craziness from our graveyard just basically lets us play our entire deck. It's absolutely bonkers, and we're doing that with a new card that came from Pioneer Masters, Hidden Strings. This is the best card to do it with. 2 mana for a sorcery, tap or untap target permanent, then you may tap or untap another target permanent, and it has Cipher, which means when this card resolves, it actually gives a creature the ability to do this whenever it deals combat damage. So not only do we pay 2 mana, untap 2 Lotus Fields, which we can get to very, very consistently with Thespian Stage, and then have access to another 6 mana, which is just insane ramping, but we also cipher this onto our flying Strict Proctor, or maybe one of our other creatures, and every time that creature swings in, we then get to untap Lotus Fields as well. It gets kind of absurd. If we don't have our Lotus Fields or Thespian Stage, we can use Sylvan Scrying to fetch them from our deck, because it searches for any land, not just a basic. Reveal it, put it into our hand, so we can enable the combo that way. We also have 4 copies of Vizier of Tumbling Sands. This is another way to untap our Lotus Fields. We can cycle it for 2 to untap a Lotus Field, get a little bit of mana value, and draw a card. Or if we want, we could play it as a creature and just use it to tap it, untap any target permanent every turn, once a turn, so we can get effectively another Lotus Field out of a Vizier if it makes its way onto the battlefield, which is pretty cool. We're using 3 copies of Bala Ged Recovery to get some of the stuff that we're playing back from the graveyard, to just keep using it to create more value. 4 copy of Archdruid's Charm, because we can search out our Lotus Fields, put them directly onto the battlefield if we want, or search for a creature we're missing and put it into our hand if we need the Strict Proctor or some of our Silver Bullet tutor targets. And we can also use this as some removal. If we have a creature out, we can put a counter on one of our creatures and do damage to one of theirs, or we can exile artifacts or enchantments. So Archdruid's Charm, super versatile here. It does all of our setting up for our combo, while also giving us a bunch of interaction options for the opponent, which is really nice. We're also running 2 copies of Soul Partition for the same reason. We can delay some of their strong plays and drag out the game until we can do our thing. We can also maybe save some of our stuff, return it to our hand if they try to kill our Strict Proctor. We can exile it with the Soul Partition so we can replay it and still have that value. Stuff like that. We're running 1 copy of Fae of Wishes so that we can use the Adventure Granted to pay 4 mana and grab any card out of our sideboard. And we have a lot of Silver Bullet tutor targets in our sideboard that are win conditions, but we also have a lot of the functionality that the deck needs to keep the synergies going within the sideboard as well, which is pretty awesome. We're running 2 Dark Petitions, which is another new card to Pioneer Masters. This card's kind of nuts. 5 mana for a sorcery, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, and then shuffle. So it's an overcosted tutor. But in this deck, we have tons of mana, so it doesn't really matter if it's overcosted, and being able to tutor up the right card means you can probably just go infinite when you need to go infinite. But it gets even better. It has Spell Mastery, so if there are 2 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you also add 3 black mana. So in reality, this basically costs 2 colorless to play, and just gets you whatever you need. And in a deck that can generate as much mana as this deck can, just finding your best card that you need to win the game or to start the snowball of winning the game with Dark Petition is absolutely bonkers. We're also running 4 copies of Pore over the pages, 5 mana for a sorcery, draw 3 cards, untap up to 2 lands, then discard a card. This is a way to not only get a mana advantage by paying 5 mana to untap 2 Lotus Fields, and getting 6 mana out of those Lotus Fields, but also drawing cards, discarding, just digging through our deck and getting the gas that we need, which is really, really awesome. The deck just absolutely sings. If you want the full breakdown of the mana, the deck list is in the description, so check that out. But as far as the sideboard, we've got 1 Soul Partition, 1 9 lives, 1 Temporary Lockdown, 1 Mystical Dispute, 1 Glistening Deluge, 1 Approach of the Second Sun, which is one of our main win conditions. We have another copy of Emergent Ultimatum. We have 2 copies of Silence. We have Path of Peril. We have Day of Judgment. And then we have some of those crazy late game win conditions. We have a Dragon Lord Dramoka, which can not be countered, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. This can protect your combo turns. Sphinx of the Final. Hello, Sphinx. Sphinx of the Final Word. 7 mana for a 5/5. Also can't be countered. Has hexproof, and all instants and sorcery spells you control can't be countered. Kind of another version of Lier, except without all of the flashback value that Lier provides. And then 1 Zakama Primal Calamity, which is 9 mana for a 9/9 Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it enters, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. That should be enough to tell you why it's in the sideboard here to find with our Fae of Wishes. But it also has 3 different abilities. You can spend 3 mana to either do 3 damage to a creature, destroy an artifact or enchantment, gain 3 life. So if you need to kill a whole bunch of artifacts or enchantments, or just gas up on life because you're worried about them burning you down, there's just so much versatility you can get out of this card while also being one of our win conditions. So deck's kind of wild, to be completely honest. The games were nuts. Let's check them out. Alright, we've got a Strict Proctor. We do not have a Lotus Field, but we do have Sylvan Scrying. I actually kind of think this is perfect. We're going to keep it. Sparris Headquarters on 1. We'll go Thespian Stage, Sylvan Scrying to find the Lotus Field on 2. And then we can Strict Proctor Lotus Field on 3 and be ready to go. It's probably got the counter, but I mean, it is what it is. Do we just play the Lotus Field anyway? I think we kind of have to, right? But I think we might wait until next turn to do it, so that we can keep our Thespian Stage. Because if we can't cheat out the Lotus Field, at least we can cheat a second copy without having to sacrifice. And that's what Thespian Stage allows us to do. So that's kind of plan B. Let's see, we've got blue. 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 Lotus Field. Resolve. Sack, sack. We will cycle and untap the Lotus Field. And then we will turn Thespian Stage into another Lotus Field. Pass the turn. So next turn we'll have 7 mana. Let's try an Archdruid's Charm. Alright. We have a couple different options. We could find a Vizier to untap our Lotus Field. That seems somewhat wasteful. We could find a Strict Proctor so that we can play our other Lotus Field. Or we could find a Thespian Stage so that we can make another Lotus Field. I think that's the safest play because he's holding up counter magic. So we're going to go Thespian Stage. And then we'll do it again. see if he counters it this time. I guess we'll do the same thing again, right? Might as well. If we're playing against a counterspell deck, I think we really just need to set up with a ton of mana to get through half of his counters. Like, No More Lies is going to be meaningless now. He's going to have some hard counters for sure. But at least we have enough mana to make half of his counters useless. And the other half, like, he counters the thing and we still have more we can do. Let's get a counter. Show me the counter. Well, we snuck in another Lotus Field. Let's see if we can, see if we can do this. Alright, we get the No More Lies finally. That's fine. Pass the turn. We have all the mana in the world. 3, 6, 9, 10. And these are going to be Lotus Fields, so 16. Now we just need gas. Now we just need gas. So we're going to hold up this. So he's worried about us trying to bait out a counter with this so that we can land this. And then we're going to use it to find something very specific. Fae of Wishes probably gets countered, right? We need something we can sneak through his counters. We really do. Lier would be amazing, but I think Lier gets countered. I mean, anything we fetch is going to get countered, so we might as well just go for it. We might as well just go for it. Oh wait, Lier can't be countered. Wait, what? Oh, spells can't be countered when he's out. Lier can be countered. It's just been a while since I've used these cards. Good old hidden strings. Alright, well, we'll make another Lotus Field. Pass the turn. Things aren't looking good. We have all the mana in the world. But he's got all the counterspells in the world, so... Yes, Lotus Field has hexproof. Very, very strong. Coveted Falcon. You're gonna give me 9 lives? And all your lands. Oh, and then you bounce the 9... Oh, well, it has hexproof, right? Interesting. Interesting choice, Mana Yui. Takes back a land, sure. So he probably wants to play some kind of a board wipe style to take out our 9 lives familiar to make us lose. Soul partitioning it won't work very well. Will not work very well. But we do have a couple options. Let's destroy the deserted beach. Find a forest. Make another Lotus Field. And now we have a whopping 12 mana. And I don't think we can really do much. Let's Soul Partition the Falcon. Wow, that is risky. That is super risky. Pass a turn. Imagine if this last card was like one of our crazy value plays. He would have been tapped out. We would have owned him. All right, what are we gonna find here? Creature or land. So I think our best bet is either Fae of Wishes. Yeah, it's just Fae of Wishes, right? And let's just see if he's got it. Oh. He don't. He don't got it. Let's try again. We did it. That's cool. Pass the turn. Now all we got to do is get to our approach of the second sun. And we can win with it. I believe in us, guys. We can do this. We can beat this guy. Schemes and scams and scams and schemes. Detention sphere. Has to use up all of his mana to do it. And then we get a Bala Ged Recovery. Oh my god. Absolutely cracked. Spells can't be countered. Let's go. We're gonna Arch Druid's Charm. Find... There's something we still want, right? Otawara, I guess? We have to try and kill the Otawara and get it back that way. Hold on, let me think. We could kill the shark. Can we get rid of the detention sphere? We can Soul Partition the detention sphere. Get back a Fae of Wishes. Bala Ged Recovery. No, hold on. I have to think careful about this. We need to get cards into our hand. Let's Archdruid's Charm. Vizier. Hidden Strings. To untap those. Put it on you. Archdruid's Charm. Grab Vizier. Bounce you for 2. That leaves me 2. That's not enough mana to do what we want to do, is it? So I guess we just try and gas up. Put all of the Viziers in my hand. Swing with the Proctor. He has to block with the boy. We pass. Alright, all of our spells are now uncounterable. His only chance is sweepers. Memory Deluge during his main phase. That's rough. That's rough. Alright, so we're going to get back our Fae of Wishes. Wish for a win con. Our win con is somewhere shuffled up in here. But we had to do the thing, right? We had to do the thing. We might just win by attacking, to be honest. Dark Petition. Find Approach. And our spells are uncounterable. We gotcha. We gotcha. Alright, this looks pretty good. We don't have Lotus Field, which stinks, but we do have the Strict Proctor. And lots. I mean, Sylvan Scrying can just search for it, right? Yeah, we're gonna keep this. We will start with Razorverge Thicket. Emergent Sequence. Well, we will play Thespian Stage and Sylvan Scrying. Find our Lotus Field. Pass the turn. Unexpected results. Outcaster Trailblazer. Adding what color? Green? Doesn't use it. Alright, Strict Proctor. Lotus Field. And now we're going way up on mana, boys. We don't have to sacrifice 2 lands when we play it because of Strict Proctor. So we're at 5. Next turn we'll have 6. That's a little bit late Untap up to 2 lands, then discard a card. We're going to add blue. Can we... Hold on. 3, 1, no. So we're going to have to do it this way. Untap. Untap. Discard a card. Discard Mana Confluence. So now we have another 5. We really need to deal with his board state, right? Can't really play another one super effectively, can we? Let me think. Let's do this. Discard Lush Portico. Cycle. Untap. Puts me up to 5. Go like that. Then Hidden Strings. Untap both of those. Take action. Take action. That gives me 6. We're so close, guys. Bala Ged Recovery. Return Strict Proctor. Play Strict Proctor. Pass the turn. We need to get to Emergent Ultimatum. I'm kind of just playing the Strict Proctor as a chump blocker, in a way. But if it does happen to survive... Oh, no blocks. If he's only going to attack with 1, we could take the chance. We can go down to 7. If it does happen to survive, we can find more Lotus Fields, which would be really nice. Emergent Sequence. Hey, what's up, Grixis Leader? Thank you for the resub, my friend. You are certainly a real one.
Let's rock!
Alright. So we're going to start with Sylvan Scrying, find a Lotus Field, play a Lotus Field, decline. Then we are going to Hidden Strings. And then Cipher the Strict Proctor. Then we are going to Emergent Ultimatum. We're going to find Omniscience, Peer into the Abyss, and Lier. What would you like to give me, sir? What would you like to give me? Target a player. And then Lier. And then, oh my god. Oh wait, I don't have the blue. Oopsie. Let me think. How do I get the blue? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't get the blue. I'm kind of still learning this deck, so it's a little bit weird. Let's do this. Return Peer into the Abyss. Attack. Untap. Dude, this is busted, huh? This is super busted. Do that. Then another one. Do that. And then pass. So we've dealt with his board. We're at 6, but we have 2 creatures out. He's only got a 2/2. He could play whatever he wants, and he could absolutely wreck our entire board. But I kind of think it doesn't matter at this point. We have 11 mana out. We're going to play Thespian Stage to get even more. If he doesn't get rid of Lier, he's going to really have a problem. Well, this might do it. I might have to block just in case he has some kind of trick up his sleeve. Can we go to 1? Probably not. I think that's too risky. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He got us. Can we keep this? We've got a Vizier. Pore over pages. We don't really have what we want early. We don't even have a Lotus Field. We're going to mulligan. This is a lot better. We have Sylvan Scrying. 3 Archdruid's Charm. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Let's put one of those back. The only problem is we don't have white for Strict Proctor. And we kind of need Strict Proctor before we play Lotus Field. So it gets a little tricky. We'll start with a forest. I mean, this first Lotus Field might come out normal. It might come out like a normal land. I'm really not sure. Let's find... Let's not find another Lotus Field. Let's find... We need white, right? Let's just find another Thespian Stage. Because if we have to play the Lotus Field fairly, we can make copies of it and still kind of do busted things. If that makes any sense. is kind of a bummer. There's not really anything we can do here. There's not really anything we can do here. Like, it would be really nice to be able to use that two green mana for something. And we just can't. We just gotta get out the Lotus Field. Bandy boy snoring. Sleepy boy. We're all sleepy boys. You're leaving to the LGS. Catch me later. I appreciate you, Grixis. Hey, for the vote later, would you prefer to have community night normal time, same time we normally do it, but Saturday night, Sunday night, or Monday night? Just for this week, we got to do a makeup for yesterday. Is there one of those you would prefer? Because I'll add your vote to the poll that I do later. Alright, so Thespian's stage. Do we Archdruid's Charm and kill this thing? I don't know if that's going to matter. Oh, I guess we can't. We don't even have a creature, right? We could exile the fight rigging. I think that's what we need to do. I really want to make a copy of Lotus Field, but I think we're kind of too far behind, and we need to try and catch up. So we're going to exile the fight rigging. We've now got 2 instants of sorceries in the yard for Dark Petition, which is nice. Yeah, Friday wasn't... Well, today's Friday for me. And I want to make sure people have enough notice ahead of time. They know when it's going to be. So we're going to go either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. Chunky, chunky, chunky. Hi, Bo. What are you doing? Hey, no. You can't come on stream. You can't come on stream. You goober. You're being a goober. What do I got for options here? I could get back a 𝑏𝑒𝑠𝑖𝑑𝑒 to kill the reflection. That is a thing we could do. Let's just do this. I know we end up taking an entire turn off. But I mean, at this point, we gotta shit or get off the pot. We gotta shit or get off the pot. Like, we can't spend the whole game being behind and trying to get less behind, but still being somewhat behind. At some point, we gotta pull the trigger, take a turn off to, like, ramp up to our crazy mana so that we can start doing real things. I think getting rid of the fight rigging was important, so I don't regret doing that turn. But we really just need to shift gears and make this happen. Velomachus. What a card, dude. Velomachus is wild. Ow. 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 Now I can't even Dark Petition, can I? Well, no, I still could. Alright. This is going to take crackerjack timing. We're going to have 5 mana, and only 1 will be blue. And we need to untap lands. As many lands as possible. So we need Hidden Strings. Now what do we do? We still need other things. I'm scared, guys. I don't know what to do. Play the Lier. Play Hidden Strings. Wait, cancel. Blue. Hidden Strings. Untap, untap. Wait, what? What just happened? Did I run out of time? Well, if I gotta lose to someone in such a cringy, embarrassing way, at least it's Hamhawks. Hamhawks deserves it. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.